putting big tech on notice. Justice Clarence Thomas signaling that the Supreme Court will have to take action on the concentrated power of social media companies and ultimately deal with the issue of tech censorship. Here now, Andy McCarthy, former Southern District of New York Assistant U.S. Attorney, a Fox Business contributor. Andy, I read a lot of articles about this, and I would say most of the writers, liberal, completely misinterpreted what Justice Thomas was writing about.
Yeah, I think that's right, Dagan. You know, there's nothing new about this. This is actually an argument that we've been having for a long time and that picked up a lot of steam prior to the election. And it's the idea that big tech, even though it's not the government, and therefore it's not under the same restrictions of the First Amendment as the government would be if it suppressed speech, now has such market power that it effectively can suppress speech because it controls the methods of communication. So a lot of people are very troubled by that, I think, as they should be, and are thinking about ways in which you can discourage big tech from this kind of repressive regulation that it's involved in and that it wouldn't be allowed to do if it were the government.
Thomas wrote that the Supreme Court will soon have no choice but to address how our legal doctrines apply to highly concentrated, privately owned information infrastructure, such as digital platforms. And I think it becomes an even bigger issue because it raises the question of what you saw happen with Parler, with Amazon and Google and Facebook kind of working in coordination with one another to shut down Parler. That it was Google and Apple and Amazon, not Facebook, but that are they working at the direction of government, of liberals in government? So that raises another issue. But I just wanted to get into what Justice Thomas was saying. The way it was interpreted all over the internet was patently wrong. There was one writer for a left-wing publication who said Clarence Thomas is looking for ways to make things a little easier for white supremacists, because somebody was interpreting what Thomas said as that social media companies didn't have a First Amendment right to regulate speech on their platforms. That's not what he said.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if there's anything that's not white supremacism. But, you know, this is not new for Justice Thomas. This is a theme he's written about before. He has pointed out that currently the law, and in particular Section 230 of the telecommunications law that we talk about from time to time, the regulatory regime, such as it is, that they're under is something that was in place before the Internet as we know it existed. And what Justice Thomas is simply saying is that there's reason to believe that the legal infrastructure that we have in place for mass communications as we now know them is not up to the task and needs to be rethought to deal with communication systems as they are today. What I worry about, Dagan, is I think, you know, the left would be delighted to come in here and actually set up a new bureaucratic regulatory body to police speech. What I think would be better is if you basically denied the status of immunity to these big tech companies so that they had to run the risk, like all publishers have to run the risk, of defamatory or slanderous or libelous communications going across their platforms. I think if they're going to engage in discriminatory practices in terms of political discrimination with what they allow on their platforms, then they ought to be treated like publishers and their immunity ought to be taken away. Right. And I think if they did that, you wouldn't need a regulatory body to make them behave better.
Well, and SCOTUS could take up a case in which they could address that. And that's what you're talking about with what Justice Thomas has said, is that it's too broadly interpreted.
Yeah, they sure could. In fact, Justice Thomas has said that they ought to rethink the whole of libel law. They ought to go back to New York Times versus Sullivan and give it another look.
Can't wait. Thank you so much, Andy, for explaining it all. Andy McCarthy.